The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to SRL on the NFL. Time for week 6 in the NFL season. We're done with week 5. We're going to do the usual, go through last week's games, make predictions for next week. My name is Brendan Yerkes, joined alongside Alex Vastraponte, as always. And as we usually do, we'll go right into it. Thursday night football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons, a game that we both picked the Buccaneers to win, I believe. And right at the end, the Falcons stole it away and then beat Tampa Bay 36-30. Thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stat sheet and Kirk Cousins lit it up on primetime of all times. Crazy. 509 yards, 4 touchdowns. I was concerned about him early on in the regular season, this year, and here he is, really starting to show himself.
Yeah, definitely a big performance. They kind of got lucky at the end with the turnover, able to get there quick enough in the offensive side of the field, get that field goal up there, tie the game, and then nice game-winning touchdown at the end there to kind of shock Tampa Bay. And that division is just nuts because I feel like those two teams are the top two ones there. The Saints are kind of average, but they've been in a lot of games, so it's kind of all over the place and something definitely keep looking at as we go on. But I think they're both going to be okay. And I think for once we're going to see two teams from that division make the playoffs. Usually it's only one, but I think those two teams, are both going to have to find a way in. Now, who's going to win the division? I have no idea, but they're both there. Moving ahead to Sunday, we have the, the morning game, the London game, the Jets and the Vikings now, which we have a lot more storylines to talk about today. We're recording this a day earlier on Tuesday. So when we make our pick, it's going to be a little bit tough because it's way early in the week. You never know what's going to happen. But the Vikings win 23-17 over the Jets. They were winning 17-0 at this point. The Jets almost come back to get the win, but I think the story is now shifted away from the Jets and how bad the offense has been and what they've done in the game to now today they announced that Robert Saleh has been fired, which is something I never thought they would do in the season. I don't think the Jets have really ever, especially under the Johnsons, fired a coach mid-season. But I think it just came to a point where enough was enough. He had a 20-36 record as a head coach. Great guy, and it's just a shame because for me personally, when they hired him, I thought it was different. I thought he was the right guy to lead the helm. He was great in San Francisco, but just it wasn't working anymore, and they needed to bring somebody else in.
I mean, yeah, I get the fire, but then I also just think he was kind of a scapegoat. I would have rathered if Hackett got fired. I just think the offensive struggles this year have just been way too bad, at least for a Jet fan's liking, who was thinking, all right, we're going to finally have a solid offense, and they're one of the last in the league again. It just doesn't make any sense. I understand, though, that Hackett is like Rodgers' guy, so they're not going to...
No, but it's enough. It's enough of what's Rodgers' guy because he hasn't been good enough to be demanding all these things anymore.
You're right.
Sorry. I'll defend the guy all the time. And, I'm a Jet fan. I'm dealing with so much mediocrity forever. I have Aaron Rodgers on my team. But you know what? If you want all these things, you got to play better. I'm sorry. I understand he's hurt. But Hackett should be gone. You're absolutely right. Now, and I'm not saying that Saleh should have stayed. Hackett should be gone. Apparently, Saleh was going to take the play calling away from Hackett this week, and then he got fired. They should both be gone because the penalties are ridiculous. They led the league in penalties the last couple of years, and it's just stupid penalties that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be having 13 penalties a game. That's undisciplined. Now, Jeff Ulbrich gets a big chance as the interim coach. He deserves it. He's had an elite defense for the past couple of years. You could say it's Saleh. It's probably a mix of both. That Ulbrich's in charge of the D, so now he gets a big opportunity. But I think with Hackett there, it's still a problem. And Rodgers, he needs to figure it out. But regardless, I think they were just getting tired of the same old thing every week. We're going to keep looking for a new answer. It's not working. So now you bring in Ulbrich, kind of change the voice. Even if it's Saleh being a scapegoat, enough is enough. And it could spark the team. It gets people excited. So I think that's something important.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could definitely light a fire under them and hopefully bring change because they need change right now.
Yeah, now I don't think they fire Hackett at all based on the way this goes. I don't think you fire two coaches like that in different points in the season. So I think they're kind of stuck with him. Right. But, I mean, if there's somebody else that can come and save the day or do something, then I would hope to see it. Like Rodgers threw 3 interceptions in this game. It took him forever to get going. That was another theme under Saleh. A lot of slow starts, as we've seen it pretty much every game this year. They never came out firing. So maybe that'll help them and not have to come back every single game, because there were some positives still in every game. If Rodgers hits Garrett Wilson down the sideline, he scores a touchdown, they win the game. They're a field goal away from beating Denver, so they could easily be 4-1 instead of 2-3 right now. And it's just those little things that if they tune it up, they still have so much talent. There's still you could say top 5 roster in the NFL if you want to. Like, there's no reason they can't be good. And now, before we shift focus, on the flip side, the Vikings, they looked okay. I don't think they were as good as they have been in other games. Darnold was just, I think, average this game. I like Darnold, but he was okay. Justin Jefferson was getting a lot of calls in his favor, defensive pass interference, and the Jets. Some were fine, some were a little bit questionable, but they were getting the ball around. So still, they're 5-0, which is kind of impressive, crazy. I don't think anybody would have ever expected that. They were expected to be probably even the last place team in that division.
Yeah.
I think that might be where we both had them. So that's definitely surprising. But they moved to 5-0, and I think although they could be better, you can't complain being 5-0.
No, you cannot complain being 5-0 in the NFL. Never take that for granted. And Jefferson had like a quiet 92 yards. I know that sounds weird to say because 92 yards is still a good amount. But it was mostly those penalties that Sauce kept getting called on, and by like the defense. And it was, again, like you say though, like some of them were questionable calls, and then some of them were just bonehead penalties that you just can't make in the NFL.
Right. So they move on. We'll see what happens there. Moving on to other games, the Bears and the Panthers. The Bears, big showing. Caleb Williams' best game by far as a pro so far. I think we've been saying that every week, but this one, playing a bad Carolina Panthers team, they win 36-10. That's the storyline there. A big AFC North matchup. The Ravens beat the Bengals. The Bengals still just sitting at the year 1-4, and that was a shootout. Again, another game where the Bengals went toe-to-toe with a good team, unable to get it done, and you just got to think that they're just not a contender.
Like everyone, like you hear the term like team of destiny, they're just the complete opposite of that.
Right.
Like they come toe to toe every single game. You think, oh, you know what? Maybe the Bengals are actually going to turn it around, and then they just somehow lose. They lose the game. Burrow is putting up insane numbers actually. Like this year he has 12 touchdowns, which is the most in the league, and only 2 picks, and he's still just. It's just not enough. It's just always
That's all they have, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you take away the run game, like they lose Joe Mixon to the Texans. Now the run game's kind of out of existence. He has 12 touchdowns. All they could do is pass the ball.
True.
And if it's not Jamar Chase, then who else is it going to be? And they're giving up a lot of points. Clearly, you score 38 points in the NFL, you should win.
Right.
They gave up 41. So, it's just, you can't, this is not a sustainable way. And I think maybe it's a part of their own success is now bringing their own demise, because they make that Super Bowl 3 years ago and bam, they already shoot up to the top. Next year, they're in the AFC Championship game with Kansas City. They can't get it done there. And now they consistently every year, like now last year, they can't make it that far. What was the divisional round they lost in, I believe? To
something like that, but Burrow was obviously hurt.
Right.
So,
and then and they didn't even make the playoffs last year because of the injury. So that's what I'm thinking of. It's just progressively going backwards. And then as you move forward, Burrow gets his contract, Chase gets his contract, and then you can't sign other people, and now you're all of a sudden not that talented of a team. So not to say they missed their chance. When you have Joe Burrow, obviously anything's possible. You could rebuild a team in 2 years in the NFL if you do it right. Obviously, the Jets haven't been able to figure it out for 50 years, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And just this year with this current iteration of this team, and I'm not going to say the head coach because we don't really know. Maybe you want to mix it up after the season. It's not his fault, so to speak, right now, but the way this team's constructed right now, they're not a contender, and there's no way they're going to be able to compete in the AFC. The Ravens show why their offense is dominant. They have great passing attack, great rushing attack, very good defense, and that they're the best team in that division for sure. And they, I think, proved it with this shootout win.
Yeah, I think that the Ravens are really starting to hit their stride. I mean, they started off 0-2 and people were starting to panic, but I think they're really starting to come back into the fold and show why they're one of the best teams in the AFC.
Yeah, both these teams were in similar situations, but like you said, the Ravens have more depth on that team, and they pulled themselves out of it and are now kind of cruising along, catching up to the Steelers, who had that good start, who lost again. We'll get to that later. So nobody really thought the Steelers were going to win that division anyway. So we'll move along. The Texans beat the Bills 23-20. Stephon Diggs' game against his former team, which they're making a big storyline out of for no reason, because there was really no drama. But the Texans, we both thought this would be a statement win for them. I think just because it was not a primetime game, that there was not much attention around it. I feel like this probably should have been a game that got more attention, but the Bills now lose 2 in a row. This was a close game. Again, two good teams, so nothing to be too concerned about. But after a 3-0 start, they're now 3-2, and then the Texans get their big win.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Texans, they start to prove themselves as one of the best teams in the NFL. But again, the only thing we've really been saying about them is we just want to see them blow a team out, right? We want to see them like just smack a team by 20 plus points. They haven't been able to do that yet. I mean, in the NFL though, if you're winning close games, you're going to be a very good team. But again, I want to see that 20 plus point win. I don't know why. Yeah, just to prove their dominance, if that makes sense.
Saying that reminds me of the Vikings from 2022 a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. They were what? Yeah. They had a very, very good record. I think they were the 2 seed.
I think they had 13 wins or something.
2 or 3, they were the 3 seed. Yeah, they had 12 or 13 wins, and I think like 11 or 12 of them were by 1 score or by 7 points or less. So I don't remember the exact stat, something like that. Yeah. And then they get to the playoffs and they play a Giants team that came in hot, and then they lose. Is it just like, you think about it, yeah, you're good, you're winning a lot of games, but then what if you give up 1 score the other way? You miss a field goal here or there. Those 1-score games, instead of being 11-5 or 11-6, you're 6-11.
Right.
So, but still, again, that's another team, a lot of depth, a lot of good talent there, and in a division that they should win. They're the best team in that division by far. So, I don't think that's really a concern there until they get to the playoffs. But again, to beat a team like Buffalo is good for them. They caught them when they were vulnerable, and they move along. 2 more AFC South teams in that division. The Jaguars pick up their first win, 37-34 win over the Colts. Obviously, Indianapolis missing Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco. No magic there today. Again, 34 points still, but the defense has decided not to show up today. The Jaguars get a much-needed win. They move to 1-4. Trevor Lawrence, one of his best games in his career. AFC East, the Dolphins get the win. They're back in the win column, but they played the bad Patriots team, so that's a 15-10 win there. I don't think really much of a story. Still waiting for Tua to come back.
Yeah.
Now we move along. Cleveland Browns, Washington Commanders. Commanders win again by a wide score, 34-13. Jaden Daniels' show continues. Deshaun Watson's disaster class continues. And I don't know. Is Cliff Kingsbury going to get like another head coaching chance after this year?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see how he doesn't really, because he in my eyes is like a quarterback guru. Like, he just understands how to use mobile quarterbacks properly. And you're seeing what he did with Kyler Murray. You're seeing what he's doing with Jaden Daniels right now. I don't see how he doesn't. I feel like he's going to be a hot commodity on the head coaching market for sure. And yeah, I feel like it's just like the same type of storylines that we've been talking about throughout the year with both of these teams. Jaden Daniels has looked dominant, and Deshaun Watson has looked terrible. And that's really where we're at right now with both of them.
And this is really the worst game, I would say, from the Cleveland defense, because we've been saying how they should be elite. They haven't been giving up a ridiculous amount of points, besides this game giving up 34. Just, you lose motivation when your offense isn't scoring at all. I mean, only 13 points. The Commanders have some vets, but they're in a pretty good position now to maybe make a run for the playoffs that nobody saw coming. Jaden Daniels, like we said, 238 passing yards, 82 on the ground. And I think this might be a little bit crazy to say early on, but his build is like a Lamar Jackson, but I think a little bit stronger, and I would say maybe a better passer. I think he's got a better arm. So if they could develop it, and I'm not saying he's better than Lamar Jackson right now, but I think over time, like it's a good situation to be in, especially if you're stronger and less likely to take injuries, being built that way. But his arm is very definitely very special, and a good dynamic talent there.
No doubt. He, like you said, with the idea of him being like a pocket passer, he's putting up ridiculous efficiency stats too, so we can't overlook that either. Yeah.
Like, he's not just abandoning and going to the run. We saw that the first 2 weeks, but now he's kind of getting more comfortable chucking the ball around.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so another AFC West game. The Broncos, they win big against the Raiders. The Raiders are a very hot and cold team, very hard to monitor week to week what goes on with them. So 34-18, Denver gets the win. So that's 2 in a row for Denver.
Yep.
Another big surprise, the Cardinals beat the 49ers. I don't know what's going on with San Francisco. Same thing with them early on in the season. They lose 24-23. The Cardinals, I think early on that they would be a team that would be a tough out every single week. And they're proving it again, and now a big upset over one of their rivals.
Yeah, I mean, they have a bunch of offensive playmakers, so they're going to be in basically every single game. The thing with the 49ers, again, they just don't feel at full strength yet. At least it doesn't feel that way. Players are starting to come back. They're starting to get into a rhythm. Ayuk finally learned how to catch a football again, so that was great. That was great to see. But yeah, they just seem a little bit off right now. Maybe again, it's the idea of like a Super Bowl hangover. I know that they didn't win the Super Bowl, obviously, but it's hard to get back. Every year is different, and maybe they're just feeling the woes from that. I really couldn't tell you, but I just think they're just not at full cylinders right now, and that's the problem.
I don't know. I've seen some things about maybe missing McCaffrey is affecting them more than it should be, but I'm like, Jordan Mason's playing great. He had 89 rushing yards in this game. If you add McCaffrey, is it really make that much of a difference with how they're playing? Like, I get he's the best running back in the league, but I don't see that really moving the needle for me.
Now, if Mason was having a horrible season or wasn't doing anything, then yeah, 100%. I'd be like, oh, well, they need McCaffrey. He's that dynamic of a player. But Jordan Mason's putting up great stats right now. Like, he is definitely not the reason why they are 2-3.
He's the only reason the offense is going, because Purdy's just been good. He hasn't been great.
Right.
And, Deebo Samuel's done nothing. Ayuk up until this week done nothing. So, you need more out of those guys. The Packers beat the Rams 24-19. LA obviously banged up, so it's a tough season for them, missing a lot of guys.
Yeah.
The Giants, big upset win over the Seahawks, 29-20. Seattle going to kick a field goal to tie the game, and then it gets blocked. Giants take it the other way, and they kind of ran away with it from there. But did not see this one coming at all. Expected a big one, especially without Malik Neighbors. But Daniel Jones pretty good in this game.
Yeah. Daniel Jones was a decent surprise this game, and I'm all for it. I don't know if that's sustainable, but shout out the defense. They had, I think, 7 sacks on the day.
7 sacks.
That's crazy in itself. They just had a great defensive game plan against the Seahawks. And just Tyrone Tracy just coming out of nowhere in a spot start for Devin Singletary. 130 yards. That's insane. I think they definitely need to utilize him more. Because, Singletary's been good, but he's also had fumbling issues, so I'm starting to get concerned about that. Maybe they should consider some type of committee. I feel like that could be pretty interesting going forward.
Definitely. Seattle, their defense, definitely a long ways from the Legion of Boom from about a decade ago. Yeah. Definitely a different team lining up there, but the Giants offense able to get something going on them, because the Seahawks offense has been pretty good. They've been scoring a decent amount of points, but giving up a lot. You saw it last week when they played Detroit, scoring a lot of points, and they lose that game as well. So definitely the problem there. Sunday Night Football, the Cowboys and the Steelers. This one ended up being later than it should have been because of a weather situation in Pittsburgh. But Dallas, much needed win. They get back in the win column over this Pittsburgh team that's still hanging in there, but they win by a field goal, 2017. And Monday Night Football, the Chiefs moved to 5-0 as the only 5-0 team, an undefeated team in the AFC, the Vikings in the NFC, with a 26-13 win over the Saints. Finally, Travis Kelce gets involved.
Needed that. Yeah, absolutely needed that. For
no touchdown, but getting the ball in his hands, yards, get it going, just something to build forward with. But you know what else I want to talk about is Kareem Hunt. They bring him back in, and he had obviously burst onto the scene in 2017. Nobody knew who he was when he was a rookie. And then obviously we know what happened with him, and he had to leave, and he took a step away. And then he re-signed with the Browns when he came back. But it looks like he stepped right back in. Playing with this team obviously is a lot easier than any other team because they're so good on offense. 102 yards in this game, a touchdown. I think it's only his second or third game since signing there, and he's stepped right back in and been a fantastic running back for Kansas City.
Well, yeah, he knows the schemes already. It was probably just a seamless fit on both sides. Like, makes perfect sense. And Juju coming back, 130 yards. Where was that Juju for like 2 to 3 years? That's crazy. He's back. And
he's back this game. They're already 5-0. Like, this is just this team. Is anybody going to stop this team ever?
I don't know, but it's crazy that Rashee. If you told a Chiefs fan Rashee Rice and Pacheco were going to be out for extended periods of time, but you said that they were going to be 5-0, I think they would call you crazy.
Yeah, and Travis Kelce doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And they're still 5-0. They're still 5-0.
Yeah, that defense has been really good. But the offense, it's not even because the offense has been bad. Like, the offense is still finding ways.
Well, when you got Mahomes, you always have a chance.
Right. Their backup tight end, I just think he's like fake Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
They throw him the ball, they're like, oh, is that an 87? No, it's an 83.
Yep. Noah Gray. Here you go.
Yep. There you go. All right, we'll move on to our predictions for this week. Again, it's a Tuesday, so it's very hard. A lot of things are going to change by the end based on injuries or who's starting. Things are going to change. We're not going to change our picks from this. This is just we're going to ride or die
Lock them in.
with these. So looking at it, the first game, Thursday Night Football, San Francisco at Seattle, and both these teams coming off tough losses, upset losses. And I'm going to lean with the road team here, which is, I think, surprising. San Francisco, I think they need it more. They're a better team. And although Seattle, like I said, is at home, San Francisco just needs this game. They can't lose this one.
I'm going to be going with Seattle here. I think that Seattle just has looked way better than the 49ers at this point. And yeah, I like their chances at home. I understand, though, that the Niners are more talented on paper, but they haven't shown it to me yet this year. So maybe they will this game, but they haven't shown it to me at this point. So I'm going to be rolling with Seattle.
Yeah, it's a divisional game, so I think San Francisco gets right here. They're going to get up for it. They usually have some success against Seattle, unless they have in recent years. So I think that'll continue. And like you said, that run game has been the big part of their offense lately, and I think that's how they're going to be able to kind of get their offense going again, those short passes to Ayuk and Samuel. So it's more like a run offense, just get the ball in their hands and go. We saw the Giants, like you said, have it last week. So, San Francisco for me, going to get back in the win column. Because it's around this time that they usually start to pick it up, too.
That's true, too.
And they're going to have to. Jacksonville and Chicago, this one is the London game. The Bears are the designated home team. And I'm going to take the Bears to win. I think Caleb Williams, another stepping stone in the right direction last week against the bad Carolina team, playing another not-so-good team this week. I think he's going to continue right where he left off, getting more comfortable, and pick up another win.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with the Bears as well. I just am starting to really like what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. And their defense is pretty solid as well. I mean, they're a pretty solid team, I would say. And if they start off 4-2, that would be amazing for that franchise because they've not had success like that in a very long time.
Right.
So,
and the defense is the best part of their team, so I think that's going to overwhelm the offense of Jacksonville. That's been struggling. Moving on, Arizona at Green Bay. Arizona, big upset win last week, but I'm going to take the Packers. They're at home. Jordan Love slowly getting better, coming back from injury, so I'm gonna ride with Green Bay at home.
For some reason, I'm going to be going with the Cardinals here. I think they're just going to have some crazy offensive putout. And yeah, I think that maybe we could see some regression out of Love here in this game, particularly. I couldn't even tell you why. I just feel like an upset's looming here. I feel like it could be a trap game. I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals making it hard on everybody. So we got an AFC South game, Indianapolis Colts, Tennessee Titans, and I feel like I pick Tennessee every week, but I'm going to pick them again. I just think that Joe Flacco being in this game again, he's not very mobile. They lost last week to Jacksonville. And now, yes, Flacco last year showed he could win some games. He won, I think, comeback player of the year. But that Tennessee defensive front can get to the quarterback. That's probably the biggest strength of their team. They can get there and get there quick, hit hard. And I think with Flacco not being able to move out of the pocket very much as he's getting older, they're going to pounce on him, and then that's going to create some turnovers and, set Will Levis up and make it a little bit easier for Tennessee to score some points. So I'm going to ride with Tennessee. They're also the home team here, another big factor.
I'm going to be rolling with the Colts here. I just think that they're a more talented team on paper in my eyes. I think also if Jonathan Taylor's playing, I like their chances much more. I'm rolling with the lead Joe here. I think he's shown, at least within the past couple of years, that he is more than capable of running an NFL offense. And the Titans are just not that impressive to me in my eyes. I understand you're highlighting their defense. It's pretty decent. But they don't have anything particularly impressive, so I'm going to be rolling with the Colts.
All right, Texans and Patriots. I'm going to go with Houston. They get the big win against Buffalo last week. Patriots aren't very good, so give me the Texans.
Yeah, I think this is an easy just Texans. The Pats aren't too impressive. Drake May is starting, though. First start for
that's something. That's a little bit.
That's a cool storyline, but yeah, I just think that the Texans are way too talented, and they're probably going to steamroll them. Maybe this will be their first dominant performance, like I keep talking about. So,
all right, Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Saints are the home team. I'm going to ride with the Saints, actually. The Buccaneers lost a big divisional game last week. The Saints coming off 2 straight losses, or 3 straight losses now. I think it's 3.
I think so.
But they played Kansas City. tough game where, they lose by 13. Still, they didn't look horrible. They're going back home. They need a win desperately. They don't want to lose 4 in a row. So
Right.
I think it's a divisional game too, so that means a lot. So I think the Saints are going to figure it out. It's going to be a gritty game. Buccaneers have been in a lot of offensive games lately. I think this one's going to be more on the defensive side, and I think the Saints are going to slug it out.
Yeah, I think every division game is basically close every single time, no matter how
Right.
good or bad the team is. And I think the Saints are solid enough to pull this one out. So I'm going to be rolling with the Saints here. I do think though, yeah, like you say, it could be a defensive a matchup here. But give me the Saints only because they are at home.
All right, didn't think we'd agree on that one. Browns and Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles. They're at home. Cleveland, just again, like we said, defense has been okay. Now, the Eagles haven't impressed me that much, but just the Browns got nothing going for them. Deshaun Watson's a disaster, so give me Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Philadelphia here as well. I mean, the Browns they have nothing on offense, they have nothing on defense right now. And yeah, the Eagles haven't looked dominant, but give me the Eagles.
All right, Washington at Baltimore. Now, Jaden Daniels has shown how good he can be with these offensive performances, but so did the Ravens. This one could be a shootout again, but I think the talent on the Ravens, as good as the Commanders can play, will overpower them in this game. So I'm going to take Baltimore. As we just said, Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, they won that shootout against Joe Burrow last week. So if it comes to that point, I'm going to put my faith in Lamar, who's won 2 MVPs and done it a lot of times before, but definitely should be a closer game than maybe we thought it would be before the year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Right.
I think this will probably be the game of the week. This is going to be really explosive on both offensive sides of the ball. At least that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I'm going with the Ravens here. They're home. They're starting to hit their stride. Yeah, that's really what I got there. I like the Ravens at home.
Yeah. So moving along here, the Chargers and Denver AFC West matchup. Denver's the home team, but I'm going to take the Chargers coming out of the bye. They've had some mixed moments this year, and Denver, again, 2 wins in a row, but Chargers coming in well rested, and I think ready to end that streak.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers here as well. I think I've liked what I've seen out of them so far. I feel like they were predicted to be one of the worst teams, and they look like a pretty solid team. And I think that the Broncos, at least the past few weeks, have really overperformed. So I think they're due for a little regression here. I know that they are home, but I still like the Chargers' chances here. So give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, they played the Raiders last week, and then they played the Jets, who are a good team, obviously, but in sluggish conditions, so it kind
Yeah.
of changes the way those games go. Pittsburgh and the Raiders, I'm taking the Steelers. They lost 2 in a row, but they did play good teams. They lost to the Colts and the Cowboys. So now I think going up against Las Vegas, they're going to get right. Their defense has been really good, and they're kind of bouncing around with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. They're going to get to whoever is going to be in, and I think they go move to 4-2.
I am going to be rolling with the Raiders here. I like their chances because they are at home. I think
Probably a lot of
Minshew.
Steeler fans, though.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a fair point as well. But I like what I'm seeing though out of Brock Bowers. I think Madison is also a pretty decent running back for them. And yeah, Minshew hasn't looked particularly great yet, but I don't know. Again, I always feel like with the Steelers team, it's just like they're just the Steelers. I don't know. Like I couldn't even tell you a legit reason, but I just think I'll be rolling with the Raiders here mainly because they are at home and they do have some solid offensive weapons. Obviously, I'm not expecting Devontae Adams to play, obviously with the whole trade rumors and all that
Right.
stuff, and the hamstring, which will magically heal when he gets traded. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I'm gonna be rolling with the Raiders.
All right, Detroit and Dallas. This should be a good game. Give me the Lions. The Cowboys haven't impressed me too much. They're going to get some revenge for that game last December. They couldn't beat Dallas, and then seeding all got moved around. So I like where the Lions' offense is at right now, and I think that Dallas's offense, well, okay, isn't producing that much, and the Lions are just on a different level right now. So give me Detroit on the road.
Yeah, the last few seasons, Dallas was putting up like historical offensive numbers, and that's just not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions, though, they're now one of the better teams in the NFL, which if you told me that 2 years ago, I probably would have said you're insane. But here they are. They look amazing. And yeah, they're really mowing down teams, what it looks like. They're a very complete team. And I really like their chances against Dallas, so I'm going to be taking the Lions as well.
Falcons and Panthers, after a big, hard-fought, come-from-behind victory in a tough divisional game, I think it'll be a nice, easy divisional game for Atlanta to win. Now, although Carolina does play Atlanta tough, but I think their offense has finally found it, and they're going to put up another 20, 30 points, and that'll be more than enough to win.
I think Atlanta's going to win here, but I do think it's going to be closer than you think. I just think
it's possible.
Their offense has looked so much better under Dalton. It's crazy. It's like night and day. They finally are able to utilize Deontay Johnson as just a weapon, which going in the year, I thought he was going to be like heavily utilized with Bryce Young. He barely was targeted. They take out Bryce Young, and bam, he starts to explode. And also Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard has been great these past few weeks. So their run game's starting to get sorted out. Their pass game's starting to get sorted out. I do think, though, that the Falcons are more talented, so I will be rolling with them. But I think it's going to be within the touchdown. I think it's going to be really close.
Well, I hope everyone likes the New York football teams because the Sunday night and Monday night games have a lot of them. Sunday night, Cincinnati Bengals and the New York Giants. I'm really torn in this one.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Because the Giants, you can't like automatically pick against them anymore.
Right.
After last week. I mean, they did have the win against the Browns, but it's like, it's one game. But then they do it again.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's, you could pick them. I'm going to lean Cincinnati here. And I think I'm going to do that because they did put up a lot of points against the Ravens last week. Now, the Giants still have a good defense, and the Giants could win this game. But I think that Joe Burrow, this is one of those games like prime time where he's going to will his team to a win. They're 1-4, and now this like that saved the season. But to get to maybe 2-4 instead of 1-5 is big, and it's going to be tough with that pass rush going up against the injured Bengals O line. But I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
I know I'm totally sounding like a homer here, but I'm rolling with my G-men. I'm rolling with my G-men. I think, from what I understand, I don't think Neighbors is going to be sitting out for this game, so I think he will be back. If he's back, I really do love their chances. I mean, even when he wasn't playing, though, they played really well last week. With Slayton. Slayton had a great game last week. And Daniel Jones looked decent. This Cincinnati defense, though, is nothing scary, really. I think Dable can put out a really good game plan and make things hard on them. And yeah, I really like this defense's chances against Cincinnati. I mean, again, last week they just put up 7 sacks against what is supposed to be a pretty good Seattle offense. Now, I do think the Bengals, you could argue, do have a better offense than them. But still, I think that they could get pressure to Burrow, make things tough on him. And I like their chances also just because they're home. So I'm going to be rolling with the Giants.
Yep, I can't blame you for that one. Monday Night Football, Buffalo Bills, New York Jets. Winner gets first place in the AFC East. Somehow, after all that's happened in the Jets season, the Bills starting 3-0. They're both, well, I guess the Jets are 2-3, the Bills are 3-2, so a little bit different. But if you asked me yesterday, Monday, who would win this game, I would be saying the Buffalo Bills. But, now I'm going to sound like a homer here.
Yeah.
But you know how these things go. Interim coach game, first game, everybody's fired up. Monday Night Football, under the lights. They got the classic uniforms. That's irrelevant to the football aspect, but that's something else, The interim coach game, you got to give it to that, right? They're at home. Everyone's going to be fired up. So I think the Jets are going to find a way to pull it out. This is going to be a fantastic game. I can obviously see it going either way, but I think just because they fire the coach, that's just something that's going to get the team sparked and then lead them to a big divisional win.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on this. It's always like the interim coach legacy game. Like the second the head coach gets fired, that next game, the team just balls out. It's just usually how it goes. And yeah, the Jets have a talented football team. They could still make things tough on the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are starting to look a little bit vulnerable. I understand that they were losing to pretty good teams, but again, they're starting to show that they're maybe not as crazy as they were when they start off 3-0 and everyone's like, oh wow, the Bills are still here. Rodgers, though, you need to play well.
He's got to clean it up.
I need
I know he's banged up too,
passing
but
yards and like no mistakes. Like I need a quality Aaron Rodgers game, and I think you're gonna get it. And I think that this Jets defense gives Josh Allen a lot of trouble. They
right.
always struggle. He always struggles against them. So I like their chances. I'm gonna be rolling with the Jets as well on Monday night.
Yeah, the Jets need to get the run game going. Allen was also reckless. A lot of the times he played the Jets throwing ridiculous interceptions. He's been better this year, so we'll see if he reverts to form. But the Jets need to get the run game going. Need Breece Hall to do something. It's been a couple weeks.
Right.
But if you want more football reasons on why I think the Jets are going to win and not just that they have an interim head coach, the last 2 years when the Jets played the Bills, they won at home.
True.
And then when it was in Buffalo, the Bills won. It's like an interesting trend that's kind of happened over the past few years that the team at home has been successful, small sample size,
right.
But in general, the Bills are a very good passing team, at least this year. The passing attack, wide receiver depth, getting into the tight ends, that's been their success. The Jets defense generally has done well with that this year.
True.
The Jets big defense's biggest struggle is the run game. They are like, everything's getting through on the run. Now, obviously, Allen is a threat to get through, but I feel like their running backs attack hasn't been very good on offense this year. And now the Bills' offensive receivers with Khalil Shakir probably going to play banged up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that plays to the Jets' strength as well, that the Bills are a little bit banged up and that their run game doesn't really have anything going, which is their big weakness.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I think as long as if they could stop James Cook, then I really like their chances. I don't want to sleep on James Cook, though. I think he is a very good player. But
he's proven he could have a big night at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
That one game against Jacksonville, he exploded. But I think other than that, he's just been kind of okay.
Yeah,
other than that one game.
Right. But, again, like you said, though, he could explode at any moment. The Jets need to stuff the run. That's the key to the game plan. Because, like I've been trying to make throughout points of already a few different weeks, when the Bills changed that offensive scheme around the run versus the pass last year, that's when they really started taking off and winning games.
The run opens up the pass.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking the same thing for the Jets, too. That's what they need to happen.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If the Jets can bottle up the run, I love their chances, and I feel like they are going to. So that's why I'm going with the Jets as well.
Yeah, and another factor for that, when the Bills did that change and they put Joe Brady in that position, the first game was in Buffalo against the Jets. So, and we'll see if Hackett doesn't call plays this week if we see the same thing the other way.
Right.
So, I don't know. These two teams, long-time AFL rivalry.
Yeah.
And it was dead for a while because the two teams were terrible, but it's definitely been sparked back up in recent years.
Gotta love it.
All right, that's going to do it for episode number 6 of SRL on the NFL. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Brendan Yerkes, joined as always by Alex Vachaponte. Make sure to follow all of our social media channels at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok. Check this out on YouTube for the video version at SRL Media, or you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So again, this is SRL on the NFL, episode number 6. Thank you so much for tuning in.